What's up, internet world, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing the Cadillac XT6.
The craziest part is check this rear view mirror out. If I put the rear view mirror, I can see the back, but look at it now.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
So this is the fourth GM product I reviewed. I've reviewed the XT4, the Blazer, and the Acadia. Now the Acadia and the Blazer share this engine, which is the V6 3-liter that produces about 310 horsepower and 271 foot-pounds of torque. And the XT4 is the only one that does not have that engine. However, I'm excited to bring this vehicle because this is closer to what I'm kind of used to, and that is Audi. So this vehicle, in my opinion, would compare against the Audi Q7 as a 4-cylinder and a 6. Here in Canada, we're only available in a 6-cylinder as far as the XT6 go, but the Q7 is available in a 4 and a 6-cylinder. The Americans, you guys are lucky, you get both engines in the XT6. So let's go back to what made this channel popular and look at this truck. But I love this truck. I mean, I know we're comparing two trucks here, but man, look at this frickin' truck. How sexy is this truck?
Run.
All right, fun times aside, let me know what you think of this front of this vehicle, because for me, the front end is what this vehicle is about. It screams premium. This version is a platinum version because we have suede headliner on the inside, and it's a full sport package because it's got black everywhere, except for the sides where it says XT6. So on the front here, I like the way this grille, the quality of this grille, it's complete all the way through, and it's very solid. It's not cheap plastic. I mean, I'm pushing it in and it's got a very small amount of flex versus a lot of other brands, you just push it in and it flexes a lot. So that shows me there's some quality here. A little weird tidbit point, I don't know if they're trying to get the dual bumper sort of angle here, but there's a black, piano black on the front, on the top I mean, and then aluminum on the bottom, and likewise there's black on the top here and aluminum on the bottom. I don't mind it actually. So as far as the LED headlights go, there's a single headlight and then there's dual high beam headlights. So if you're high beaming someone, both these bad boys come on, and if you have your regular night lights on, just this one comes on. These are your daytime running lights, which I like because it sort of offsets the front of this vehicle apart from other manufacturers, and it does have a side light that's nice and low. A lot of other cars have a side light on the side that's fairly high, and what that does is when you're turning a corner left or right at night, it illuminates so the pedestrians know you're making the turn. So moving along to the side here, it does have piano black on the trim up and down, as well as it does have the roof rails in piano black. I would have really liked to see this in a full black as well. So these wheels are 20-inch wheels. You can get them in the optional 21s. Not a huge fan of the wheels. For me, the front end of this vehicle is money. The side, now it is a 7-passenger, or if I'd like to call it, like clients used to call a Q7, a 5+2, because it's not a real 7-passenger, and that's what this is. This is not a full 7-passenger. You can fit 7 people in it, but it's gonna be really tight. So as I said, there's a lot of comments on the internet about the GM parts bin, but there are things I do like about the GM parts bin. One is I like the fact they put their emblems on their headlights. As well as on the back, they have the rear view camera, as well as a rear view mirror camera. So for those that haven't watched my videos before, on the inside, the rear view camera actually does pivot down, and you actually have a full view of what's behind you, but in a camera format, not in a visual format that you would with your eyes. All right, so the main talking point here on the back of this vehicle is this number 400. What does it represent? Well, this 400 represents the new way of classifying engines. Now, manufacturers have changed their pitch on how they're doing it because it's confused a lot of people. So from my opinion, from a marketing standpoint, I really do like the fact it says 400 because that, in my mind, makes me feel like there's a V8 under the hood. I know there's not, and you know there's not, but it represents Newton meters. So for all the people out there hating on the fact that it says 400, let me ask you this. Why is there a GLC 45 AMG or a CLA 45 AMG? Are they 4.5 liter motors? I don't think so. As far as the aesthetics go, it's kind of similar on the front. They've got the black piano on the top here. They've got that aluminum piece that goes all the way back, and then the black pulls back over here. But I don't see aluminum, so it's not like the front. It's separate. It's got black, aluminum, black, as opposed to the front has black, aluminum, black, aluminum. Give it a kick. Okay, there we go. I guess you got to be a ballet gymnast to hold your leg up all that time. So as far as the back seat go compared to the Audi Q7, this vehicle actually has a way to put the middle seats down, not just the back. But I did notice that in the Q7 you actually have a string you can pull back here to drop the headrest. In this specific case, you have to use these back buttons to drop the headrest. So let's give that a shot and try to drop these seats. So headrest goes down, seat drops. Headrest move down, seat drops. And if you want to move the center seats down, you just hit these guys. Now they only can drop. They actually can't lift back up, which I guess makes sense. You don't have to go in the middle. So you can drop those and they fold almost flat. The right one does, the left one almost. Now if I want to put these seats back up again, I hit this guy and it goes up, but the headrests have to be manually pulled back. Now from an electronic standpoint, here's a funny one. If I want to put the seats already retracted back, and if I want to actually, I press the button and I'm trying to put it back up, not drop it, they should actually stop the circuit, but the circuit is still active and I can keep pushing this back and it keeps jolting back and forth and trying to do something where it shouldn't really. They should actually put something in here to stop that. As far as rear trunk goes, this is pretty much the same dimensions as a Q7. There's no difference. They do have the same sort of trunk lid that comes out or tray underneath that comes out like the Q7, so there's no difference there. The rubbers are not as expensive feeling as the Q7. However, in terms of square footage and space, it's pretty much the same. And like other SUVs, if you do want to set the height of the rear trunk, you hit the button again, hold it down, and we should hear something. There we go, and it's set. So now when it opens up this exact height. After it goes down, let's go down here, and we are hoping that it opens up to this exact height. I guess that didn't work. All right, so I've set it 3 times, and let's see. No. One day we'll figure this out. But they did not cheat in the exhaust. They have a quasi-fake exhaust, but it's actually just a fake tip. They actually do have exhaust that comes through as opposed to coming underneath like the German counterparts. Now, the reality is these back seats are not really designed for anybody tall. They're designed for 5'2" and under, so generally children are going to be sitting in the back. So when they jump in, they can just really step on the side sill here and jump over. Now, any adult trying to get in, and that's what usually happens when people are testing these seats, the adult tries to sit in the back and it looks miserable. Okay, I'm alive. All right, okay. All right, so I made it back here, and in the back, I do like the fact they didn't forget about the people in the back. The poor loser that has to sit back here. Think about this. People never sit in the back because they don't really care about the folks in the back. However, GM actually thought about this and gave you comfortable seats and have the stitching all the way through exactly the same. Now this package obviously is their top trim level, so they spent the money. But not only that, they actually do have USB-C ports on either side, left and right. And it's not like Audi that has a string attachment that you plug into a general USB that you have to convert to a USB-C. This is a direct USB-C. As far as seat quality and fit and finish in the back, this is definitely better than an Audi Q7. The back seats in Audi Q7 are very hard, and they don't actually have a lot of depth and room, but this has a lot of depth, not to mention has a lot of headroom. I'd say there's about an inch more in the back seat of this car versus an Audi Q7. So if I'm hating on the GM parts bin, it is this handle to adjust the seats. This quality should be better at this price point. I just feel like this handle is very cheaply made, and I wouldn't say it could break, but I would say you need to have a more sturdy, strong, considering that you're going to be opening this quite a bit up and down for children to get in and out the back. Now there is some positive news. This vehicle is available in a 6-passenger configuration where you can have bucket seats in the center here, so you don't have to be jumping over yourself to get in the back. But again, GM, fix this, please. Give me headrests that slide backwards and forwards. We need headrests that move backwards and forwards. But thank you for giving me a suede headliner, because this suede headliner is sweet. It's got a lot of padding, and there's no cheapness here on this suede headliner. And the quality of the leather is a little bit tighter. This has soft leather, so it's supposed to be a little bit softer, but when you run your fingers from top to bottom, you do get a little bit of a wave, and it's not as tight as I would like it to be, but it looks good. One of the knock on German products is rear cup holders. However, Cadillac, you know what you're doing, because these are full-size cup holders. In the back, Not to mention, there's a lot of storage compartments in the center. They have a full slide out that comes from under the center console where you can put a ton of games for the kids in the back. And like I mentioned before, in the back you get 2 USB-C. In the front you get a USB-C and a USB. What is interesting is the air vents. There's actually no air vents here because Cadillac has put a full digital display for the rear HVAC controllers. And they've done a great job with this because you can actually customize it a lot more than you can in other vehicles, but they have to move the air vent somewhere else, and they've put it on the ceiling here. Now, I just don't find this gives me enough air, and I sat in the back seat the other day to kind of feel how much air I would get. I don't feel like there's enough air movement that comes out of these vents, so I have to really put the front HVAC on almost blast to actually feel enough air that comes to me. So it's a little bit noisy. Now I found where your suede stuff is. It's on the door, but it's a very small piece that you gave me here to be like, look, Mike, I'm thinking about you. So there's a piece that comes right here, it wraps around the dash, and it wraps underneath, above the carbon, and below the leather wrapped dash, which is a nice piece. They've done a good job. When I sit on the inside of this car, I do feel premium, and I do feel luxury. Now, in terms of up-to-date content, I would say Audi does do a better job. They've got their virtual cockpit, which gives you a full LCD screen. They do an awesome job with that. The Cadillac, I think the new Escalade is going to come out with some of that stuff, so I'm excited to review that when it comes out. Everything feels really premium. It's very similar to the XT4. Actually, if I closed my eyes and I just opened up really quickly, I wouldn't know whether it was an XT4 or an XT6. I like how they've kept everything consistent. One thing I'd really like to see is a sliding center console. I know they've made it pretty wide here, so both people on both sides can sit. However, if it is sliding, those that are a bit shorter or those that have their steering wheel up here would like to probably rest their elbow on the center console. As far as the steering wheel goes, it controls all your major features. It's got your heated steering wheel, it's got your depth cruise control, it's got your volume, your paddle shifters, which I do like because they actually stick up pretty high here. But besides all that, just like the other Cadillac products I've tested, the sound system hits it out the ballpark. They've also got this great feature where you can take your phone, slide it in, and it will wirelessly charge. It's got easy access. You can just pull it out, put it in, and it will automatically charge. I love that feature. You don't have to put on a wireless pad. You're not worried about putting things on top of the wireless pad. You're not thinking about plugging it in. It's just slide in, it charges, and that's awesome. But there is some cheapness in quality, and that is the HVAC controls. They are pretty flimsy. Now the positive thing is you don't actually have to touch these HVAC controls to make the HVAC work. You can use the screen and it does all the same things. Thank God, because these controls feel pretty cheap. For the top of the line model, I would have liked to see adjustable seats. I would like to see seats that pivot inward and outward on your lower waist and your lower back. Not to mention, I'd like to see some sort of massage. This does have lumbar support, but it's not a full massage. But overall, they do have a good feel, and they have soft leather, and they're fairly firm. One of the comments I've heard online is a start and stop feature, that it's really annoying and it stops a lot. However, there is a button to override it. You just hit it, and no more start and stop. One thing this does have over an Audi Q7 is the sunroof. Not the sunroof itself, but the actual sunroof shade that comes out. In the Audi Q7, it's got a sort of a transparent material that comes across. This managed to have actually a full closed sunroof, so no sun can be allowed in. You can fit a ton of stuff in here, and that's one thing domestic products do well. Space. You've got space here, you've got space right underneath to put lots of stuff. So if you got stuff, this is the car for you. So an interesting piece. When I pull back to reveal the cup holders here, it makes sort of a scratchy noise. Now, I'm not sure if there's sand stuck in between here, but I don't think so. I think that's one thing that I would have probably greased up before you left factory. But here's another cool part, or maybe not so cool, because these look like cooled cup holders, but they're not cooled. They're just cup holders with some aluminum rings on the bottom.
So for those who haven't watched my other videos, this would be a good time to jump on the XT4 video where I go in depth into the infotainment, as there's lots of features, including when you back up, there's no beeping per se, it's actually your seat that vibrates. So if you're backing up, you get this vibration so you know when to stop. And also when you pull up to almost hit something, you get a vibration. So it's different than a beeping sound, it's a full vibration, which I think is awesome. Now, off to the drive. The seat's very comfortable sitting in it. I wish, as I said, you could adjust in and outward, but it's decent. Not a ton of side support, but again, this is not a full sporty car. This is just an image car from the front. The seats do tighten up. When you put the car in reverse, both mirrors fold down. I still haven't figured out a way that you can get one mirror to fold down over the other. The German products, on the right mirror does fold down depending on which position you put it in. So if you put in the right mirror, that right mirror does fold down when you put the car in reverse to see the curb. I'm gonna give you guys my opinion, but first things first, I brought a bunch of hooligans with me to get their opinion. All right, guys, I'm just gonna pull out here.
Song's fire.
And do an acceleration test with everybody in the car here.
Song's so good. Roxanne.
Does this feel fast to you guys?
Not extremely. Well, I've been in a go-kart.
All right, so what else do you guys like about this car?
It's very fast.
Modern.
Yes.
Modern, yeah.
Yes.
Smooth, modern, yeah?
Comfortable. Is it 2020?
Yeah, it's brand new. It's brand new.
It's extremely comfortable.
Brand spanking
It's smooth,
new.
right?
Yeah, it's extremely
Air
comfortable.
conditioning boom.
Is it really good?
Yes, really good.
I'm freezing.
Oh, you're freezing.
Uncomfortable.
You're not wearing a shirt.
I just.
Yep.
TVs are.
And how about all the way in the back? Do you have a lot of space?
Oh yeah.
Do they look like they got a lot of space?
There's a ton of space.
Maybe not a lot.
Is there a third row?
Yeah, it's a third row.
Oh, space.
So this is like not a full size, not like the biggest one they make.
But
This
it's
is like
like
the,
a good size.
it's a good size. Yeah, it's a mid-size SUV.
Okay.
So it's like one step below the Escalade,
That's it.
right? We want to see what's something crazier?
Oh, song's fire.
The craziest part is check this rear view mirror out. If I put the rear view mirror, I can see the back, but look at it now.
Oh. That's cool.
All right, we're back. So I'm gonna put this thing in drive here. Pretty simple. It's kind of like an older generation BMW. You can just hold like an iDrive and pull back. The shifter's pretty easy. There's lots of support as I drive here. Now the drivetrain is gonna be pretty similar because I've driven the last two vehicles with this exact engine. So in terms of performance and stuff like that, I kind of know what to expect out of this 6. This is pretty standard GM 6 that they put in their vehicles. And everything's pretty much exactly the same. I would say this is very similar to a Blazer. This does feel more comfortable inside for sure. Obviously the seats are very good in this. They're a lot more comfortable. This I do notice though, because this is a heavier vehicle, I do get a lot more wheel spin in the front on turns. So if I'm making a full right and I'm hitting the throttle, I do get some slippage, and we're talking pretty warm weather out, so in the winter I can only imagine the spin you're going to get. So I would assume that in the winter you'll be in 4-wheel drive pretty much all the time and not in 2-wheel drive. I think 2-wheel drive is really just designed on the highway. As far as blind spots and stuff, this is a bigger vehicle, but it's pretty much very similar to a Q7. Same with the mirrors. The mirrors are about the same size as a Q7. Everything's pretty much the same as an Audi. Except for the fact that Audi I can get air suspension, and the suspension is a little bit better in the Audi. In terms of steering input and feel, this is pretty direct. There's not a real difference I can tell between both products. This engine sounds better than the Q7. It just does. It sounds more, the Q7 motor is the same motor they've used. It's pretty much their drop-in motor for their V6s, and same with GM. This is louder. I can hear this motor more. It's more aggressive in terms of its sound. The Audi is quicker, there's no doubt. It's about... So the great thing about this car compared to the other GM products I've driven is that there's just simply a button here to change into modes. So to go to all-wheel drive and two-wheel drive, it's not a turny dial, which is super annoying. It's just a button, a mode button you hit and it automatically activates, which is awesome. So great job GM on this specific compared to the others. You've learned, do not put the turny dial, it sucks. This specific one does have heads-up display, and it shows you the RPM, kind of like a video game. It's pretty cool, and it's colored. It's got blue, red in it, and the speedometer is very clear, and you can choose different data you'd like to see on there. But I'm still in love with, so jumping on the GM parts bin, this rear camera to me is money. I mean, this is innovative, it's awesome, because Cadillac has, in my opinion, lost it over the last 10 years or so. When the Escalade came out, it was like revolutionary. Everybody freaking loved it. So I'm excited to see that the new 2021 Escalade brings and some of that drop down stuff into this vehicle. So at the end of the day, vehicles like this aren't necessarily about the driver. It's about the people in the vehicle, the passengers, the memories you make in big vehicles like this, and presence. Because at the end of the day, we live in an image-based world, and anybody that's going to spend $15,000 more than a Blazer or any of the competitors you can put in this, the Acadia, whatever you'd like, there's a reason you have to spend the money. So one is to probably be different than the Germans, and two is to be seen. Another piece I do like, if you get Bose in any German product, you do not get this aluminum finish you do see on the doors here. This you only get with Bang & Olufsen at a $7,000 or $8,000 price point. In this specific case, you get the Bose. So Bose has kind of taken a page out of Bang & Olufsen's notebook for car audio, and they've actually put like an ionized aluminum finished here where it's beautiful. And they've put on the A-pillar and also on the door, which is awesome. So earlier I was whining about the HVAC controls in the back and the amount of blowing and the amount of air you get from the back. But here's the funny part. This vent right here is faced towards me, and this thing is blowing down the back of my neck, and it's too far back for me to reach here. So it's just giving me a nudge in the head saying, don't whine about the HVAC. Speaking of HVAC, this thing has an ionizer, which actually only came out in the A8 and Audi initially. So you got to think they brought it to the top of their game, and you can get it in an XT6, an ionizer, to clean up the air in it so the air you breathe is clean. Next, they need to add fragrance so you can get a smell, and you can pick winter and summer because Audi does that. Come on, Cadillac, we'll see that in 2021, won't we?
So thanks for watching this review on this Cadillac XT6. I hope you guys liked it. Please let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Would you guys buy this? Would you buy the Aviator? Or would you buy the Audi Q7? Please let me know, comment below, and please, as always, consider subscribing.